Oh my god, do you guys know what happened today? KG, a member of VCHA, announced she's leaving the group, and the reason why is absolutely shocking. She and her lawyer filed for the termination of her contract in the Los Angeles Supreme Court. They cited allegations of child endangerment, neglect, child labor violations, unconscionable physical harm, and more. Before I go any further, I just want to be clear, everything I'm about to share is alleged, based on the information released by her lawyer. I'm sharing this for awareness and discussion, and the rest is just my opinion. I'm not trying to damage anyone's reputation, just presenting the facts and my thoughts. If you're here, you probably already know who VCHA is, so let's get straight into the details. KG claimed that the company forced them to live in a group home. They initially promised the girls could choose to live with their families or independently if they wanted to, but that turned out to be far from the truth. The company allegedly manipulated the situation, putting the girls in an environment where they were not fully compensated for their hard work. Instead, they were stuck in what sounds like a financial trap. The situation gets even worse. The company bought a $2.5 million house and claimed the girls owed $500,000 each for their share of it. Let me be clear, they never owned this house. They just lived in it, yet they were being forced to pay for something they'd never get to keep. How does that even make sense? It's outrageous. These girls, who were working non-stop, were put in a situation where they weren't earning anything but instead owed $500,000. This isn't just a bad deal, it's financial control. They weren't just making no money, they were going into debt, a debt they didn't even create. And here's the scariest part, because of this debt, the girls didn't receive a single paycheck. Imagine being active performers, attending events, recording music, going on tours, and not only making zero money but being told you owe over $500,000. By July, when the group went on a hiatus, they were still active, yet there was nothing to show for it financially. That's terrifying. Now let's talk about KG's contract because this is where it gets even weirder. She revealed that she wasn't being paid for any performances after 6 p.m. What does that even mean? If you're performing, you're working, you should be getting paid. But the company allegedly avoided paying her by claiming it wasn't technically work. To me, this feels like a deliberate attempt to dodge California's strict labor laws for minors. It's sneaky, unethical, and downright exploitative. And then there's the stipend. The girls received $500 a week, which was supposed to be their payment for working 12-hour days. But let's do the math. In California, the minimum wage is $16 an hour. If you're working 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's close to $1,000, double what they were receiving. These girls were being paid half of what they should have been making, and that's assuming they only worked 5 days a week. Let's be real, we know they were working more than that. What makes this worse is KG's background. Before joining VCHA, she was an influencer who likely earned at least $10,000 a month. Imagine leaving that kind of financial stability to join a K-pop group, only to find yourself in massive debt. And it's not just her. All the girls in the group were put in this position. This is what fans are most afraid of when it comes to exploitative K-pop contracts. It's not just about being locked into a company, it's about being financially trapped, forced to work under conditions where you'll never truly profit. Now let's move on to the physical and emotional abuse allegations because this is where it gets even darker. KG claimed that the company denied the girls proper meals to maintain extremely thin physiques. The staff allegedly told them they'd regret how they looked if they didn't lose weight. Let's unpack that. These are teenage girls, still growing, being told to starve themselves to meet impossible beauty standards. KG mentioned that after skipping lunch and undergoing a grueling 4-hour training session, she was taken back to the dorm and told not to eat. This isn't just about appearance, it's outright dangerous. Malnutrition can cause serious health problems, including cardiac arrhythmia. This isn't just aesthetic, it's life-threatening. Then there's the issue of injuries. In September 2023, KG allegedly broke her shoulder after being forced to practice the same dance move repeatedly. When she informed her trainer, she was told to stick it out and keep practicing until she mastered it. Only then was she allowed to see a doctor. Think about that. She was in pain, likely unable to use her arm properly, and instead of being cared for, she was pushed to keep going. Recovering from an injury like that isn't quick or easy. A family member of mine had a similar injury, and it took months of physical therapy to regain full function. But these girls don't have that luxury. They are rushed back to work to meet the company's demands, even if it means risking further harm. It wasn't just physical injuries, either. KG also dealt with a respiratory infection, a common illness, sure, but one that can severely impact your ability to perform. Singing and dancing are already physically demanding, and doing it while struggling to breathe is almost impossible. Yet she was still expected to perform. Imagine the toll that takes on someone, especially a 17-year-old who's still a minor. This isn't just poor management, it's physical torture. Trigger warning: eating disorders and self-harm. This next part is devastating. KG alleged that in February 2024, one of the members, likely Kaylee, based on the timeline, developed an eating disorder and attempted to harm herself by taking 42 NyQuil pills. She was just 14 years old. When the girls raised concerns with the staff, they were told it was normal to have an eating disorder, but this wasn't just an eating disorder, it was a cry for help. Taking 42 pills isn't just dangerous, it's life-threatening. This wasn't addressed with care or urgency. Instead, it was dismissed, leaving the girls to navigate this trauma alone. Imagine being a minor in a foreign country, away from your family, surrounded by people who dismiss your struggles as normal. It's heartbreaking. And it gets worse. KG alleged that the girls couldn't even support each other properly because they were constantly surveilled. Cameras were installed everywhere, even in their rooms, so the girls couldn't speak freely. There was no privacy, no safe space to share their feelings. This level of control is dehumanizing. When you can't even confide in the people going through the same thing as you, it isolates you even further. By April, when KG tried to terminate her contract, the company claimed she had earned negative $504,000. That debt came from the $2.5 million house they were forced to live in. Let's be real, that debt wasn't just financial. It was a way to trap them. As long as the girls were in debt, they couldn't leave. And this wasn't just some small company. VCHA performed at major events, appeared in Teen Vogue, Rolling Stone, and other big publications. These girls were working hard, and yet they were told they owed money. Even their performances with Twice, where they were guests, likely cost more than they made because of transportation, outfits, and other expenses. KG recently posted a statement on Instagram explaining her decision. She said this isn't the career she wanted, and while she's grateful for JYPE's support, she can't continue under these conditions. She also said she's doing this not just for herself but for the other members, so they'll have an easier time leaving if they choose to. And thank God this lawsuit is happening in Los Angeles, where the laws offer more protection for minors and entertainers. If this had happened in Korea, the outcome might have been very different. This year has been devastating for K-pop, especially for young female idols. The abuse these minors endure isn't new, but it feels like it's getting worse. When Stellar exposed the abuse they faced, those were adult women speaking out. Now we're hearing these same stories from teenagers, from kids. Debuting minors in K-pop isn't just risky, it's inherently dangerous. KG's story is proof that this industry needs to change.